Good evening, I'm Brendan Miller. Thank you for joining us. Legal aid lawyer Joy Wakefield received the NDP nomination for Thunder Bay Superior North in the upcoming federal 2025 election. Wakefield is in Thunder Bay promoting her campaign and says that she's grateful for all the support the North shows her during her campaign run.
You know, this is something that I'm really passionate about. I've worked for years in this community and, you know, seen some of the worst of what's happening here in terms of the opioid crisis, in terms of, you know, the things that Indigenous people have been facing, in terms of, you know, environmental destruction. And, you know, I want us to reimagine what we can do as a society and what role that the government and laws can play in that. And so it really means the world to me to have people in this room, some of whom have been, you know, hardcore activists over the years for decades, and to have them believe in me, to have them offer financial support to me, to have them say wonderful, kind things about me is really inspiring and encouraging. And
her campaign meeting was successful, with about a dozen people pledging money towards her campaign. The snap election should take place in about 2 months' time. A recent 4-day visit to Finland has reinforced the strong connections between Canada and the Nordic nation, according to MP Patty Haidu. During her trip, she met with politicians both from the Finnish government and the Parliament of the Indigenous people. Haidu, who also serves as Canada's Minister of Indigenous Services, traveled to Finland last month with the goal of strengthening diplomatic and cultural ties. Haidu met with Finnish government ministers to discuss global geopolitical changes and areas of mutual interest. Her trip also took her to northern Finland, where she visited the homeland of the Sami, the country's Indigenous people, and spoke with members of their parliament. Reflecting on the experience, Haidu emphasized the importance of international relationships.
Obviously, Finland is part of the European Union. We do have a trading agreement, the CETA trading agreement with the European Union. To be able to strengthen opportunities under some of these trade agreements is very important. Obviously, we see the threat from our largest trading partner, and up until now, a strong ally materialize right in front of our eyes. It's extremely important that we continue to strengthen and foster these relationships with other countries.
Haidu adds that nearly every person she spoke to in Finland had some form of connection to Thunder Bay. Educators from Mattawa's 9 communities were at Valhalla Hotel this week as the organization hosted its 16th annual education conference. The event highlighted the importance of incorporating Indigenous perspectives in education, as well as fostering human connections. Jessica Clement reports.
From cultural land-based curriculum to autism awareness to language revitalization, educators from 9 Mattawa communities had numerous learning opportunities at the 16th annual Mattawa Education Conference.
When you have this kind of conference, when you're here together networking, you can build a relationship, and then when you go back to your communities and you're going back to your school and educating your students, you have a more clear and vision of how you want to educate your kids.
Mattawa First Nation Education Authority President Anna Marie Majiskin says this year's conference was focused on creating meaningful opportunities for professional growth, with a lineup of workshops designed to address the unique needs of educators working in remote communities. The 3-day event saw over 60 presenters, including author and keynote speaker James Vukulich Kagagabo.
The first part of the talk is how we shift our perspective from maybe a self-centered one to one that works over 7 generations. And how do we do that? And that's where we look at the 7 grandfather teachings.
Kagagabo says it's incredibly important to host events that bring people together from all over the region.
I had worked as an Ojibwe educator for over 2 decades before I began writing and speaking and traveling. We can kind of feel isolated, I think, if it's in our classroom or our community, to get around other people who are doing the good and important work. It's inspiring. And also you're bringing some inspiration to them probably. The opportunity for collaboration and inspiration at a conference like the Mattawa Conference, it's invaluable.
Jessica Clement, TBT News.
A handful of grade 12s from Lakehead Public Schools were competing this past week for the chance to represent their school board at the province-wide Skills Ontario competition. The top local carpentry team of 2 students would get to be the board's lone entry in the competition. Justin Hardy has the story.
Students spent the week putting their skills to the test in a series of skill trades challenges. One of the highlights was Tuesday's carpentry competition, where participants built an arbor with a bench. 3 teams took part, 2 from Superior CVI and 1 from Hammersholt High School, showcasing their craftsmanship and teamwork. Roger Durcher, the Ontario Youth Apprenticeship recruiter for the school board, says competitions like these are a great way to introduce students to the skilled trades and get them excited about potential career paths in the field.
We need people to work in the skilled trades in the future, so we're in dire need of that as we move forward. We have lots more retirements coming, so it's really important that we share the skilled trades pathway, expose students to that pathway so they can consider it if that's a pathway for them, is something that they want to explore after high school.
For about a month, teams have been hard at work preparing for this competition, eager for their chance to secure a spot in Toronto this May. Once the carpentry competition began, students had just 10 minutes to review the project plans and come up with a solid strategy before diving into a full day of hands-on work. Robert Dacey, the high skills lead for construction at Hammersholt, says he couldn't be prouder of his students.
When they come here with a good, if you notice, they're very polite, they're doing their thing, they're not being needy. This is a huge thing, and you probably know some high school students. That is a skill. And I mean, we should be proud that these people can work like this in this environment. And they're coming in here, most of them have never been in a thing like this. They're not nervous, they've all got their stuff done, and they're all keeping their areas clean, they're all working hard. I think that's a really good example for anyone.
The winners of the carpentry competition were Nolan Nitre and Owen Setala of Superior CVI. They'll be heading to the Skills Ontario competition, which will be held on May 5th and 6th at the Toronto Congress Centre. Justin Hardy, TBT News.
Lakehead University and the local community came together this weekend to celebrate Indigenous culture at the annual Indigenous Cultural Traditions Club powwow. The event was filled with dances, traditional galia, and a powerful sense of unity and pride. Emma Chilton has more.
This year marks the 35th annual Indigenous Culture Traditions Club powwow at Lakehead University. The event started Saturday with a grand entry from 12 to 6 p.m. with a traditional feast at 5, and Sunday from 12 to 5 p.m. The powwow welcomed the public to attend, and admission is always free. Indigenous Cultural Traditions Club president and lead powwow organizer Jordan Thompson Van Conant says it's an honor over the past 3 years to have helped organize and expand the powwow.
It's a great way to bring everyone together to continue building this community that we've built here over the past 35 years. Our first powwow was hosted back in 1988, and just seeing the community that continues to build year after year, whether you've been coming here since way back when we still had the powwow in the field house or even in the agora, to even if it's your first year here now, you've become a part of this community that we've built, and we just want to continue building that community.
The switch from the field house to the hangar has greatly benefited the powwow's capacity for the amount of people that can attend. Thompson Van Conant says last year's powwow had 5,000 people over the weekend, and this year alone, over the 2 days, had close to 10,000 residents participating.
We outgrew that space a long time ago. It was a lot smaller, a lot more confined, and we wanted to have a bigger space to bring everyone together, have a space where we can have all our vendors here, and just have everyone in the same room, once again focusing on that community that we've built. And it's something we've been trying to work on for the past 3 years now, so we're really happy that it was able to happen this year for our big 35th annual powwow.
This vibrant event highlights breathtaking talent, traditional artistry, and the rich heritage of Indigenous communities. Emma Chilton, TBT News.
After missing out all of last season to warm weather, the Thunder Bay Autosport Club got in a full schedule of racing this season. It was their last event of the year out on Mission Bay, so let's take a look at how the season was capped off. The first of the last 2 races began around 2:30 with the rubber to road category and a field of 6 cars. After a slow formation lap, it was boogity, boogity, boogity. They are racing. The 666 car, along with the 73 car, pulled away from the rest of the field, and a brilliant battle for the lead ensued. The two cars jostled for position for multiple laps before the 666 went wide in turn 1, and the 73 car ran away to victory. The co-drivers, Manessa Ladua and Fred Henney, recounted their season.
We actually made the car for last year, so we didn't get to race last year, so we were pretty anxious to get out here and race. It was a good time.
Yeah, we had a good year. It's turned out to be better as it carried on through the year. We got practice in and a little bit of skill, so.
Figuring out the car.
Over in the studded tire category, the number 98X car, it being the only car that used all-wheel drive, galloped to an easy victory. Its pilot, Curtis Stay, was happy with his results.
The advantage was all-wheel drive, for sure. The other cars were front-wheel drive, and this thing's all-wheel drive. But when you have more tires spinning, you have more parts breaking, and that was it plagued this car in the past. And today, the sun was shining, and it was just its day, which is great.
President of the Autosport Club, Gary Adamko, was extremely pleased they were able to get every event in this year.
It was a fantastic season, being that we were able to get all of our 10 events in versus, what we went through last year, where it was an El Nino year and really didn't have the ability to have the events going for the public and for our members. But this year was just awesome.
Adamko also mentioned that within the next couple of months, the club will begin their autocross season.